Hey tubers, welcome back to the Horde. Today's adventure is this China ATV with the Kymco 125cc motorcycle engine on it, pit bike engine and clutch engine on it. And unfortunately this thing starts and only runs on choke. So when I turned the gas on and off, I could see bubbles moving around in the clear tubing. Obviously, it's a good idea to use clear tubing for that reason. But it just doesn't start. So before I drop the carburetor, I just want to make sure that it really is getting fuel, right? And there's a couple of things one could do. Particularly if there's a drain on the bottom of the carburetor, you can kind of open that up, see if you spill any gas out. The carburetor could also be kind of full of water. You'd be amazed how much water gets into these systems from just sitting around, particularly if you end up with snow on it and it melts. Some of it, with the temperature changes, actually gets slurped into this little hole here, and then you have water in your fuel. So let's start out by trying to figure out if there's water in the carburetor, and then old Harvey might spend some times on his hands and knees trying to get that carburetor off of there without tearing all the plastic and everything else loose. Okay, a couple of things. There were two bolts holding the gas tank on down through here. So I took those off, and the gas tank still doesn't want to come off. It seems that it's bolted up to the plastic here or something. Yeah, I guess right underneath here it's bolted up. But in the meantime, what I did is I just pulled the gas line off, and with the gas line off, if I turn it on, you guys could see gas comes out of it. So the problem isn't at the gas tank. This thing has what I call captured bolts, or what everyone calls captured bolts, on the carburetor. So if I just pull the two carburetors, take the carburetor slide out, disconnect the gas line, which you see is already disconnected, I could get the carburetor out, and I think that's just going to be quicker to drop that and do a rebuild on it, drop the ball, see what's in there. So let's do it that way. You guys know, two bolts going through the carburetor, holding it to the flange. I'm just going to take them off. Typically, or in this case, they look like 10mm. Easy enough to do. The carburetor is off. Piece of cake, right? You got one of those choke style, one of those cable choke style carburetors. Don't much care for those, but that's what it is. Couple of things. First of all, see the O-ring that's missing there? That could cause a vacuum leak. And you see that inlet right there with no hose on it? That could cause a vacuum leak. Those two vacuum leaks could be enough where you're not drawing fuel. Is that what's wrong? I don't know that, but those two things are two problems. So I'm going to finish rebuilding. We'll take a look inside this carburetor just for the fun of it, but I might be swapping it out for a PZ27. You guys know I love the PZ27, so why not smash a PZ27 on it? Here's what the fuel looks like. I'm not necessarily seeing water in it, but it just doesn't look very good. And I didn't spill any fuel out of the carburetor, but the carburetor is not as full as it should be. So this carburetor kind of has a shut off here because it was a motorcycle, right? They only ran one line down to it. And it also has a shut off on the gas tank because the gas tank goes to an all-terrain vehicle. I'm really thinking this carburetor is savable. There's no reason to believe it can't be fixed. But you know, I really would like to see if a PZ27 will go on. That gets me to a hand choke. It gets rid of all these extra valves to open and close. I got plenty of gas lines, so I could put a clear fuel filter in there, a fuel screen, so I could kind of see what's going on. I gotta tell you, just from a reliability point of view, I'm leaning toward the PZ27. So I have the carburetor off, and I already mentioned this vacuum leak could have caused trouble. I also put a hose in that tap right there, and if you blow into it, right, that's a second vacuum leak. Vacuum leaks not so good, because instead of pulling air through the carburetor through the proper jets and so forth in the carburetor that gets you gasoline, you just pull air. So right, we want to seal up this vacuum leak. I'm going to put an O-ring here, and then I have a tendency to put a paper gasket over it. I make it right out of cardboard, put that over there. One side of it I put, you know, the Permatex seal, some gasket material, and the other side of it I have a tendency to oil the gasket. That way the whole thing doesn't glue itself together. So anyway, that's what I do. So we know we have a couple of vacuum leaks. What else is going on with this carburetor? 1, 2 Phillips heads. Take that right out. We're all happy. But just, if you take a second before you do that, and you turn it upside down like that, and you blow some air into there, right? With it upside down, things should be shut, and if you listen, right, you hear nothing. If you turn it back over like this, right, your float should be opened, and if you listen, it's hard to hear, but there is some air jetting through there, which is good. That means the valve in that position is open and everything's set. I closed the valve before, and this valve does work, right? In here is a little filter situation. Do your best to not booger this up, but if you take it apart, you want to be cleaning that up too. Try not to tear the filter up that's in there. Okay, obviously the gas is out of here. I'm not sure that gas is going to work. It didn't smell too bad at the gas tank, but it smelled pretty bad right here, so I'll probably just take the gasoline out of that. Taking the jets, the big guy, the main jet. Right, I already loosened these for the sake of keeping this video from being 2 months long. So here's the jet, and if you look through the side holes, let's see if I can't show you light. Yeah, it's kind of getting a yeah, there you go, you see some light, and you see some light, and you see some light. That's good. And if you look down the center, you see light. So the main jet is okay. The next jet is for idle. Right. Not only am I doing it left-handed, but it's kind of a tight area. There you go. So looking at the idle jet, right, you can see we have light. There's just one there in the center, and it's kind of like a partially blocked, but that's not too bad. When you try to look through it like a telescope, you see nothing. So this needs to be cleaned. And the way I like to do it, right, I just either use a single or a multiple, and I kind of clean all those jet ports clear. While those are out, I run some solvent through it, right? Brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner. I just kind of jet it through those holes. Obviously take this apart. Basically any port, I just blow some carburetor through it. Once again, between getting the O-ring back in here and getting things sealed up so you don't have vacuum leaks, this carburetor would come right back to life. And I did want to spend just a couple of minutes going through what it would take to do that, because not everybody has a PZ27 all ready to go. So in my case, I do have a PZ27 ready to go. So I bolted it up there. Unfortunately, if you kind of look on the bottom where you have that port, that cap to adjust the intake valve, the bottom of the carburetor is kind of rubbing on that. If I put a little longer extension where the carburetor bolts on, I could get around that. So anyway, the PZ27 is on there. I'm not getting the most throttle out of it. I'm only getting a little bit. But I think we're going to try to start this thing up. As you can see, I have the choke and everything. This is a cold start, right? And you know what? Let's see if she'll start right up at idle. That'd be a wonderful thing. Right, normally the PZ27s come through, they're all happy. Right, that's on, that's on. The ground is on. Yeah, let's see what it wants to do. Might as well burn the gas out of it. Oh, you see it go. So this is a real healthy sounding engine. I don't hear any bad sound. Right, there's no valve noise. Oh, maybe we can even turn off the choke. See a little bit of smoke here. Just got to be careful where I put my good. She sounds real nice. Sorry that we can't get it out for a ride while I was doing all my contortions to get that carburetor on there. I noticed the engine is mounted right there. You see that through. But I have no mount here, and I have no mount up at the head. So it'd be very easy to get this out and do something like if you have the engine pulling, it could come up and start smashing the carburetor and all. So if we do get it out for a ride in its current configuration, gonna have to be gentle. Excuse me. Anyhow, I do have company over at the house, so I got to get back to playing with the family. I want to thank everybody for dropping by to watch and comment. I want to thank everybody for the subscriptions. Please keep the subscriptions coming. Please keep the comments coming. I love them all. The questions, I answer as many as I can as time allows, and around the holidays there's not a lot of extra time. I'm really sorry about that. I hope everybody had a really great Christmas. I hope Santa brought everyone exactly what they want, and I hope Santa didn't bring any trouble. Okay, once again, I want to thank you all. Please remember, feet down, heads up. Get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.